Hi guys, Mark Dawes and FPS Limited, and if you are in any way, shape or form interested in positional asphyxia and or reducing restrictive practices, then you've come through to the right web page. Now bear with me on this video, it's only a few minutes long, but I've got some great exciting news to tell you right at the end, so stick with me on this because I guarantee you will want to know about what's coming when we get to the other end of this video. Now, positional asphyxia and reducing restrictive practices are really important areas right now because, as you're probably aware if you are a trainer, consultant or you are a commissioning agency, all of the government inspectorates out there are looking for evidence that organisations, care homes, NHS trusts, schools, etc. are reducing the need for restrictive practices and also reducing the risk of positional asphyxia. So this is a really, really important thing, as you can see from this item that was highlighted in the press. Now this was published on the 13th of January this year, and the headline is NHS Trust is warned over face-down restraint of patients in mental health wards. And if you read part of this press release here, you can see that it says, inspectors said that despite the Trust having a stated target of reducing face-down restraints, also known as prone restraints, by 50% this year, they had instead continued to rise. And that caused a problem for this particular Trust. As you can see on the CQC website here, you can actually look at their report, and for the area of safe, it's been graded as requires improvement. Now, I'm not having a go at this trust in any way, shape or form because they're probably like a lot of other trusts in a very difficult position because they're looking for guidance and advice on what to do, and maybe they're not getting it. Maybe they're being told stuff, because here inherently lies the problem. I mean, there is so much myth and misconception surrounding the whole aspect of reducing restrictive practices and positional asphyxia. I mean, for example, let me show you. Is all prone restraint dangerous? So are we saying every time we put someone face down on the floor, they're going to die? Because I sleep on my front and I haven't died yet, and lots of other people do as well. So is all prone restraint dangerous? And what is the legal position on using prone restraint? I've had people tell me that legally it's been banned. Is that true or not? Because if legally it's been banned, then of course you can't use it. But has it been legally banned? And is there a difference between prone and face down restraint? And you saw in that article that they said it's the same thing. But is there a difference? And do you know what that difference is? Is the supine position safer than the prone position? I know some agencies who've stopped using prone because they believe it's banned, or because they don't want to be sanctioned by the inspectorates, so they're now putting patients on their back. Well, is that actually safer? And what's the evidence to support that? And are there more dangerous positions than the prone position and face down restraint? And what is the scientific evidence of the risk of certain restraint positions? So if we have to justify this in a tribunal, in an inquest, in a court of law, what scientific evidence can we bring to bear to support our case? And also, what's the medical expert's perspective on the use of prone restraint? Now, when I'm talking about a medical expert here, I'm not talking about a doctor in an A&E department who has an opinion. I'm talking about a medical professional who is, for example, a home office preferred professional who may be engaged by coroners or engaged by the government to look into restraint-related deaths, and who's also trained in various different systems of restraint. That's the medical expert I'm talking about here. And is there a time limit on prone? I've had some people say to me there's a 3-minute, there's a 10-minute. Is it there or is it not? Are pain compliance techniques illegal? Now, one of the things that increases the risk of death in a restraint, and there's evidence to prove this, is the restraint going on for an extended period of time. And one of the ways that you can reduce that time is by using restrictive techniques that may cause discomfort, harm or pain. But are these pain compliance techniques illegal? And therefore, if we can't use them, are we increasing the risk? And what's the medical expert's perspective on the use of pain compliance techniques? How do they define pain? And what's the medical expert's opinion or perspective on the use of basket holds, or as some agencies call them, the wrap, which is normally a small person, small child hold? What's the health and safety perspective on the use of prone and pain compliance? I mean, how does that sit from a risk assessment perspective? I mean, what would a health and safety professional that's doing a risk assessment say about these things? How would they justify it? What's their opinion? And is guidance legally enforceable, or are you allowed to depart from it? So if the guidance says you can't do this, are you still allowed to do it, or will you be sanctioned for doing it because it's in the guidance? And finally, and this is not an exhaustive list, what are your cogent reasons for doing what you do? And how can you use these cogent reasons? So cogent reasons have a basis in law. So you must have these, particularly if you're going to depart from guidance. But how do you know what a cogent reason is, and how do you come up with one, and then how do you say it's a cogent reason? These are just some of the things we need to look at if we are a professional in our field, if we are a trainer, a training consultant, or even a commissioner of training. We need to understand this stuff so we can actually do our due diligence. Because here's the problem. If you speak to any one trainer or training provider, they will either tell you what they believe to be true based on either their bias towards their own system or the limit of their knowledge and expertise, and I mean no disrespect, I include myself in this category as well, or what they have to teach based on what their system dictates they must teach. So, if you are a commissioning agency and you're looking for an answer to your problem, how do you know that what they are saying is correct? How do you do your own due diligence? And the reason this is important, very important, is because the liability rests with you, not the training provider necessarily. So if you just believe that what they're saying without doing your own due diligence and something goes wrong, then you are in the frame for commissioning training that's not fit for purpose. And if you are a trainer or a training provider and you'd like to improve your knowledge by undertaking evidence-based CPD, continual professional development, from the top experts in the legal, medical and scientific fields, so you can demonstrate to your clients and your prospective clients that you have had training by some of the UK's leading legal, medical and scientific experts, where do you go without spending a small fortune? Well, I have a solution for you. And if you'd like to find out more, simply put your details in the sign-up box below and I'll tell you more about its opportunity and the unique benefits it will give you. Thanks for listening and put your details in the box below.